We are ready for a two-time Super Bowl champ in Booger McFarland with ESPN here, right now with Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game to talk about all of this quarterback stuff that's going on with the 49ers and beyond. Booger, thanks for coming on, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. I tell you, a few things have been bouncing around, and let me just ask it to you this way. We've been thinking about it from the 49er perspective, but the fact that the Lamar Jackson situation, an elite quarterback, is just sitting there for bidding and trade offers, and seemingly no one will bite. What is going on? What is your reaction to this?
Well, I think the Baltimore Ravens kind of guessed the market correctly, meaning they looked at and canvassed who had the top draft picks, who was looking for a young quarterback, who was going to draft a quarterback, who was going to take the free agents like the Saints and Derek Carr and the Raiders and Jimmy Garoppolo, and just kind of play the musical chairs and see where the dominoes would land. And I think their guess was nobody's going to be willing to pay 2 first-round picks plus mans, whatever they are. They got to be close to $200 million guaranteed, if not more. Just took a guess and looked at the market, and I think they guessed right because we're 2 weeks into this thing.
Well, let's see if we can get Booger back on his cell phone. Yeah. That one's gone a little bit awry.
No, but it's an interesting answer, and I think it's the right answer where the Ravens have kind of called Lamar Jackson's bluff, for lack of a better way to describe it, saying we don't think that the market is there for you to go out there and get an offer that we would have to match, and therefore draw 2 first-round picks. I think that's what Booger's saying.
Okay, Booger is back, and welcome back in. Go ahead and continue what you were saying, Booger, about the Ravens guessing the market correctly. Do we have him? You got to click him on. There we go. There you go. Go ahead, Booger. Now we got you.
Okay, yeah. All I was saying is the Ravens guessed the market correctly, and 2 weeks in, you have to say they did a good job. And right now, Lamar only has one option. And that is, if he wants to play football, he's got to play for the Ravens, and he's got to play for $32 million.
Which seems like, most people out there would say, yeah, I'll play for $32 million, but that's so far below his market value. I saw you retweeted Ross Tucker, who was talking about career earnings that he'll never make back. Why do you think it is that the market has gone so cold for Lamar Jackson?
Well, I don't think the market is cold. I think to get to the market, it takes a lot. And so I just don't think a team is willing to give up 2 first-round picks, which is a lot of draft capital, especially if you're picking high. And on top of that, pay a guy $200 million. Usually when you get a franchise quarterback, you draft him, and we've all heard of the quarterback being on the rookie deal, which allows the team to build around the young quarterback. And then by the time you have to pay the quarterback, your team is a veteran team, and your team is ready to win. And then that quarterback is ready to carry the football team. So that's kind of the model that these teams like to go by. I just don't think a team wants to give away 2 picks to tear down their team a little bit and $200 million. So if it were different, in other words, if Lamar Jackson were a free agent, I think he would have 4 or 5 teams knocking at his door. But he's not a free agent, and I think that's the part that's really holding this up.
You know, it's still interesting to me, though, Booger. Like, what you're saying makes sense, but then again, if I'm actually running a team, I'm not sure if it does. There's still a list of teams out there that completely change who they are as a product for their fans. They accelerate their timeline to compete. The Colts, the Falcons, the Buccaneers.
Can you make the money? Can you make the money and the picks work before you get to those teams?
Yes.
Can you make the money and the picks work?
Yes. I guess my answer would be this. If someone said, is Lamar Jackson worth $200 million, wouldn't you respond by going, he's worth twice that? Like Steph Curry, is he worth $60 million a year? Yeah, he's worth twice that. In the game of the way this is played, there's a cap to it, but these are franchise-changing players, no?
You're correct. Now, let me ask you this question. Speaking of Steph Curry, perfect example. Early in Steph Curry's career, a lot of ankle issues. That's why his first contract was, I believe, only $55 million.
44,
Early on in Steph Curry's career, if somebody would have offered Steph Curry $60 million a year, what would the fans have said amidst the ankle issue?
But is that Lamar? Like, has Lamar had chronic issues in terms of injury?
I don't know if they're chronic, but he hasn't finished the last 2 seasons. And whatever percentage you want to give him, there is a large percentage of his game that's dependent upon his legs. Whatever percentage you say, 20, 30, 40%, whatever the number. And in the last 2 years, he's missed, 12 games because of an ankle and a knee. And that hampers his ability to run, which limits his game, which doesn't make him who Lamar Jackson that we know of. Like, the Lamar Jackson that was the MVP rushed for over 1,000 yards. The Lamar Jackson that was an MVP made dynamic plays with his legs, also some with his arm. He's not a top 10 quote-unquote passer. He's a top 10 quarterback because you add in what he can do with his legs. And if you tell me that we're going to count on that and that's going to be hampered, then you can start to understand what I want to put $200 million into a player where every Sunday, 11 guys are going to go after those legs.
Yeah, and in that case where, if he gets a blow to the leg and if he's unable to be as mobile, you're right, he's limited in terms of what he can do as a quarterback. But if he's left with no option outside of Baltimore, do you think that he can rightly go back to Baltimore and make it work, which would kind of be a tail between his legs maneuver?
No, I don't think he can go back and make it work. I think what Lamar will do, his floor to me this season is going back to Baltimore, signing the $32 million, because nobody in their right mind is going to walk away from $32 million. However, the hamstring, the back, maybe something's not right. And, next thing you know, Lamar's out the first month of the season. Very similar to Jalen Ramsey. Remember Jalen Ramsey? Jalen Ramsey had a hamstring for about a month. Then he got traded to the Rams, and magically the hamstring healed.
Yeah. That's the beauty of physical therapy, right?
Exactly. Booger McFarland.
On a 6-hour flight.
Yeah. Booger McFarland, ESPN, 2-time Super Bowl champ, with us here on Willard and Dibs at 95.7 The Game. All right, so Booger, bring the 49ers into this conversation. They've said that he financially doesn't fit their plan right now, but Trey Lance may not fit their plan. And I don't know if paying Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel fits their plan. A, what would you think of Lamar in a Kyle Shanahan system? And B, should they put together a package of players they're probably not planning on keeping long-term anyway?
Well, here's the thing I would say is that, we're living in a dream where, I don't know, when's the next 49er first-round pick? I mean, it's a while.
Next year.
Next year, 2024. Next year they've got it.
24. Do they have the pick in 25 also?
Yes. Yes, they do.
Okay, so therefore, if they wanted to do this, they would have to wait till after the draft, and they would have to give up the 24 and the 25 pick, or they could wait until Lamar gets traded, i.e. the Jalen Ramsey type situation. Now, as far as how it would work, I mean, come on. I mean, it would be that dynamic. I think Lamar needs to play under center more anyway. So can you imagine all the boot game and the waggle in the zone with Lamar Jackson throwing the kiddos on the outside, and now you got Deebo and Ayuk on the jet sweeps and all these different things that Kyle likes to do. Like, the offense would be absolutely outstanding. However, let me throw this question back to you. If I told you the 49ers could have Lamar Jackson, but it would mean no Nick Bosa and no Fred Warner, would you still do the deal?
No, I wouldn't.
Absolutely not.
No, but why would it mean that?
Well, I mean, the salary cap's only $226, my man. Lamar wants $50 a year.
Yeah.
Right.
That's about a fifth of the cap right there, Booger. I'm with you.
Okay, but you still got 51 other guys you got to sign. Okay, so that's the thing that you got to look at. Prime example. Kansas City Chiefs lost Tyreek Hill because they didn't want to give him $25-30 million a year. Instead, what they did was bolster the offensive line, gave Patrick Mahomes some decent receivers, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marcus Valdez-Scantling. None of those guys are true number ones, but they said the quarterback is so good, he doesn't need top-tier talent. So let me ask you this in a different way. Do you think Lamar Jackson is so good that you can get rid of a Deebo Samuel? Because you can't have a $20 million receiver.
Well,
yeah.
The quarterback's going to make 50.
So I guess my response to that, I'm down on the idea of the 49ers doing this for some very intricate reasons, but I would say this. You're already paying Deebo. you'd have to pay Brandon Ayuk to keep him. So, in other words, if you do pay Lamar 45, you also kind of have to subtract out of that the 20 to 25 that you would have been paying Brandon Ayuk that supposedly you've budgeted for. And
Ayuk's not getting 25, first of all. Let's stop that nonsense.
20? No? In 2 years from now?
20. If Deebo Samuel is getting, 19 or 20, Ayuk is probably, if I had to slot him and be realistic, Ayuk is in the 10 to 12 range, somewhere in there, no more.
He's probably getting more than that if he has the kind of year this coming year that he did last year.
What's Christian Kirk making, Booger? What's he making?
Christian Kirk is making 18.
And Brandon Ayuk's now better?
I mean, Brandon Ayuk, Christian Kirk last year, they were both better than advertised.
Sure.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'll give you that. A lot
more as far as the ball in his hands. I think Christian Kirk is a better receiver down the field, but what they're both very, very good playmakers.
I think the bigger question for me is, can Kyle Shanahan and his system get by with quarterbacks on a rookie scale more than any other team, which would then make it unnecessary to go out and get a quarterback like Lamar Jackson?
I think that you're on to something. I think the best thing for the 49ers is this. I think you paid Nick Bosa because he's earned it. All right, you paid Hargrave, the D lineman from Philly. You bring him in. Your defense should be really, really good this year. And you say, I'm going to have a competition between all three of those guys. I think Brock Purdy is ultimately going to win the job because he understands how to play the ultimate point guard in Kyle Shanahan's offense, and I think he's a better passer than the other two. Sometimes we're going to have to set back, whether that's this year or next year, and just say, you know what? I know Trey Lance hasn't been given a lot of opportunities as far as he hadn't played a ton of games. However, so far, that experiment has been a massive disaster. Now, can he change that? Absolutely. But it's going to take a whole hell of a lot, in my mind, for him to beat out Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy showed you he can run the offense. He can throw the football. He's got the moxie. He's got it. And, again, back to the Lamar Jackson conversation. Let's say Trey Lance wins the job. How did he get hurt? He got hurt running the football. So, again, are you willing to put all your eggs in a quarterback that's going to run the football? Which brings us back to the Lamar Jackson conversation and why teams are very hesitant to give up 2 ones and $200 million for a guy that whatever percentage you want to give him is going to make a large part of his plays with his legs.
Or do we only say that about the guys who do get hurt? Because Jalen Hurts played Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and we didn't have an issue with that. You know what I mean?
Everybody gets hurt. You name me a quarterback, and I'll tell you the guy that's been hurt. Yeah. Every quarterback gets hurt. Mahomes had a dislocated knee. Jalen Hurts hurt his shoulder. Tom Brady's done an ACL. This league is a 100% injury rate league, which is why I don't understand why we're discussing the whole Bryce Young, is he going to get hurt thing. Every quarterback gets hurt. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
The key is how long is he going to be out and how many times is he going to get hurt? Because every quarterback gets hurt. Aaron Rodgers broke a clavicle. Phillip Rivers, an ACL. Like, you name me a quarterback, and I'll name you the injury.
Yeah, and how many quarterbacks do you have once your quarterback does get hurt? Because the Niners ran out of QBs.
Yeah, how about Brock Purdy? Did he get hurt? Yeah, he did. He got hurt. Hey, Booger, awesome stuff, man. Thank you for taking our call today, my man.
Anytime, man. You guys have a good one out there. I love the Bay Area. San Francisco Golf Club is a favorite of mine. Olympic Harding Park. Said I could move to San Francisco if it weren't for the taxes.
Anytime you want to come out and bring your sticks, I got a tea time for you, Booger.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Booger. Sounds like he's got a tea time for us.
That's kind of where I was going. I mean,
geez.
I can get you out of Lincoln, Twilight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
ever been to Glen Eagles, Booger?
Get you on Peacock Gap. You ever been there?
Yeah. Just when I was out there.
Actually, I don't even think I can get on there.
How about McKinnis?
We'll get about the McGinnis.
McKinnis, if you're in a hurry.
Yeah.
Just, run around.
Mill Valley, quick 9.
Sure.
Leave your driver in the car.
Yeah, you're going to be mud deep to your knees.
Seriously,
for
right?
another day or two. But anyway,